Hey, I want to take a couple minutes today to do a video on a couple of things here. There's a couple of things I want to say. Part of this video is, well, a little part of it's going to be kind of promotional, but the rest of the video is going to be basically me ranting at people, telling them to quit being so stupid and stop doing certain things. Because, everyone loves to be told what to do. I'm sure my viewers love that. Well, actually, unless you're wearing like a leather bustier and you got a whip, they don't seem to be into it. They tend to leave my channel when I tell them what to do. But sometimes I think it's important to tell people when they're doing something stupid. But what I want to talk about today is PayPal. If you're not familiar and you're using PayPal, well, then you're using one of the most anti-gun companies on the internet. Now, I understand why people use them because there's not really an alternative. But make no bones about it, they are very anti-gun. Like when people thought Patreon was anti-gun. Patreon is not anti-gun. It was PayPal making them do a lot of the things they did, because PayPal is like, either do this or we cut off all your access to payment processing, which would kill Patreon. And they do this to dealers too, gun dealers, people that deal even in just gun-related merchandise. They are extremely anti-gun. Recently, they went after Forged from Freedom. He doesn't sell guns. He sells pro-Second Amendment t-shirts, but that was enough for them. They're like, we're cutting you off from your online processing, your payment processing, which would have ruined his business. So I think he's fighting them, and I think he got his processing back. But it just goes to show you, PayPal is not gun-friendly. They're extremely non-friendly to guns, or unfriendly, I guess would be the word. Don't think non-friendly is a word. But just want to make people able to make that distinction. Sometimes it's not the company that actually takes action. Like when Patreon bans a person, what they'll do is places like PayPal, they'll choose someone who really has done some pretty heinous shit and is on the verge of being banned anyway, but they'll ban them. And the reason they'll ban them is because they know it'll make you get up in arms because you're a gun owner, and gun owners are used to fighting. We have to fight for most everything. We don't like to be tread upon, don't tread on me. That's a saying. I'm not making that up right now. I'm not claiming that that's my saying. People should know that one already. So we tend to react when we feel like we've been tread upon. And these companies like PayPal, etc., they count on that. They count on us going, well, then screw them. We're not going to use Patreon anymore. And then what happens? A lot of funding gets cut off to a lot of pro-Second Amendment channels. Our footprint on social media gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And once it stops shrinking, they'll do something else that'll make people mad. They'll pull out a little more, and our footprint will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And what I'm trying to tell people is stop falling for it. Sometimes it's better not to fight. If you take a stand on something that isn't going to achieve you anything, but is going to get all your forces annihilated, you don't do it. Now, this is not our everyday lives where honesty is always the best policy. Sometimes in business, you just have to bite the bullet and accept that there's some things you can't change. And PayPal being anti-gun is one of the things we can't change. And I hate to break it to you, I actually spoke to someone at Patreon behind the scenes, and they're not anti-gun, but they were talking about how when it comes to gun-related merchandise, Second Amendment-related merchandise, as far as daily merchant payments go, it's less than 0.5%, probably way less than 0.5%. So PayPal doesn't care about that. That's a margin. That's a rounding error to them. So they feel okay to enforce their anti-freedom opinions on other companies because they don't worry about losing the gunners. And they know that those companies are also going to see the same thing and go, oh, it's not a big business, so got to go with PayPal. Can't lose my PayPal. So they allow themselves to be manipulated. So I just want to let everyone out there know that when you bitch about Patreon, but then you say to me, well, I don't want to support you on Patreon anymore or any channel. Can I send you some money through PayPal? What? They're the ones that are anti-gun. But you shouldn't be cutting off. You don't cut your nose off to spite your face. And some of you motherfuckers are pretty goddamn ugly, and I still wouldn't recommend you do it. When they do stuff like this, like I said, they're intentionally manipulating you to weaken the online presence of the Second Amendment community. Because Social media is where it's at nowadays. I know I sound like a 90-year-old man saying that, but it's where the internet is where it's at. If we're not there, we're nowhere. If we slip away from social media, then we don't exist in the eyes of most people. So staying strong on the internet is what we need to do. These other people, these businesses and promotions, etc., they're making millions, and PayPal's more than happy to stand with them. But when it comes to gun businesses, PayPal's more than happy to throw them under the bus because they disagree with them. They'll let you post videos, torturing children, basically, and they're okay with making money off that. They'll post videos that are borderline softcore porn. They're okay with that. They're just not okay with the Second Amendment. So they're willing to sacrifice us. And when we play into their little games, these aren't idiots. These aren't country bumpkins running PayPal and Google. They know how to manipulate us. They know how to get us angry. They know we're the kind of people that fight back. So when they do stuff like this, they know, watch this, tomorrow there will be half as many channels that are getting money from Patreon that are gun channels than there was last week. And then those channels will start to fade away. And we've already been seeing that happen. My Patreon's dropped immensely. So I know it, and a lot of people are going to be like, you used to pump up your Patreon. No, this is real. This is being realistic. This is reality. I put all my money into things like the TYMP Pistol Project, giving away veteran guns, etc. And I'm not saying other channels should do that, but I do that. So if I lost all my Patreon, I'd just stop giving stuff away. There's other channels that will just disappear if they lose all their Patreon. And I'm not talking big channels like Mac and Iraq Vestim. They make bank. My channel does okay for a tiny channel, and I use my money for what I think is a good way to use it. But there are channels out there that count on that Patreon. That little bit they make a month, that pays for their camera. That pays for their ammo to go shooting. That pays for them to travel to speak to their legislators. That pays for them to do a lot of things. It pays for them to be visible on the internet. It pays for them to be there when some 17-year-old is Googling something and they get suggestions up for a video and they're like, oh, I've never even thought of a gun before. Let me look at that. Or, oh, that's the gun I saw in a video game. I've never seen the real one. Let me watch it. And then you've got someone that's won over for the Second Amendment. That's why they want us off social media. And when you get mad and you stop supporting gun channels and gun people because you're mad at Patreon, or even if you're mad at PayPal, you're not hurting them. Like I said, less than 0.5%. You're not hurting them, you're helping them. You're helping them achieve their goals of getting rid of people like you and me on YouTube and the rest of the internet. They want us gone. And they're using us to get us gone. So stop letting them do that. Stop being manipulated. Sometimes the best way you can fight is to not fight at all. Don't give them what they want. And I'd almost forgotten about the promotion part of this video. In fact, to kind of say fuck you to PayPal, Forge from Freedom is having a 20% off sale on everything. So if you want to order anything from Forge from Freedom, you've been waiting, now's a good time to go. It's 20% off on everything. I do believe you got to put in the password of PayPal sucks or something like that. I'll put it on the screen here so you can see what it was. But if you want anything from Forge from Freedom, because they've been fighting with PayPal for quite a while now, and they've been fighting a lot of other battles. They fought something recently that I'm so familiar with, is when you stand up and speak truth to power in this organization or this community, where it tends to be very cliquish and there tends to be a lot of hero worship. When you finally stand up and speak truth, you get punished for it. Believe me, I'm no stranger to that. So wanted to promote their sale just a little bit. Go over and buy some of my t-shirts. I don't think I've sold a t-shirt in months. But I'll make some new designs soon. I know I haven't done any new designs. I don't promote them. Military Arms Channel's on top of that stuff. I'm not on top of that stuff. So you don't see a lot of new designs come from me, but I'll try to make some new ones. But you don't got to buy my shirts. Go buy Mr. Guns and Gear or Military Arms Channel or Hank Strange. Go buy one of those guys' shirts. Why would you want one of my shirts anyway? So go buy some shirts over at Forge from Freedom. Use that 20% off code of PayPal sucks and stop being manipulated by them. I know this has been a very long rant here now, but I hope I'm getting my point across. I understand why people in the gun community do what they do. Like I said, you're used to not lying down in a fight. You're used to saying, I'm going to fucking fight back. But in this situation where they're manipulating you to shoot your own foot off, don't shoot your own foot off. Think it through first, and then, believe me, I bite my tongue to not say anything or do anything too, but sometimes we have to for the betterment of our own cause. So that's basically all I wanted to say. Oh, and I will add one more thing today, to say a third thing. To all you people that were worried yesterday because the video where I was showing you I'm going to set up a little pest range above my property, you're like, oh my God, you're handling a lot of poison ivy and you're walking through a lot of poison ivy. I know, don't worry, I'm not allergic to poison ivy. See, there's nothing on me. I've been pulling poison ivy out by the roots off of the cow fence since I was a little kid. I'm not allergic to it. I can probably chew the shit up if I wanted to. Wouldn't get anything from it. I'm not gonna. I probably could. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was raised on raw milk. That's why I don't have hay fever and allergies real bad. All my sinus problems come from getting punched in the face a lot and having to have my nose rebuilt when I was 17. Don't really have allergies or anything like that. And like I say, I think it's partially because I was raised on raw milk, straight from the cow. That helps you not have allergies to things like, wheat and grass and other things that the cows might come in contact with. So maybe that's why I'm not allergic to poison ivy or poison oak, but never have gotten either one of them, and I've fucking run through them my whole life, pulled them off fence posts, everything. So don't worry about that. So that there is the 3 things I wanted to say today. Now I'm going to quit ranting.
Oops.
Why don't you go ahead?
It's the lady at 46 South Road. 46 South Road.
Station 1 call, retone that please. 10-4. Captain 4 to go to that location also. 1 9, is that correct?